I'm sure you have seen or heard or read the article by McKnights that came out on January 6, 2025, written by the great Z. Johnson, with the title, the attention-grabbing title, Agency Nurse, Dateline Agency Nursing is now linked to lowering the CMS quality star rating in long-term care centers across the country. And for those of us who have been working in long-term care for any significant amount of time, this is not a surprise. And in fact, most of us could have predicted this months ago. Heck, years ago. We're like, oh, we see where this is going. Because we've always valued and saw the value in consistent job assignments. And a consistent job assignment is where you have a consistent, the same caregivers taking care of the same residents over time has always proven to be given, you have a higher level of quality care. And that's for a lot of reasons. I mean, the more you get to know somebody, the more you get to know their likes and their dislikes. And more important than that, the more you're able to get to know somebody, the more likely you're going to be able to identify a change in condition. So when somebody starts to deteriorate, if you spend some significant time with that person, you're going to be able to pick that up and you're going to be able to proactively address that issue before it gets out of hand. And hence why the quality star rating is usually linked to, or at least assume that the more consistent your nursing staff is, the better your quality rating is. Of course, that's not always the case, where there are a lot of homes that have had the same nursing staff for years who have very poor quality measures, right? Like it's not always, there's not a direct correlation, but this article is saying that now there is a direct correlation in the other direction, saying more agency means less quality. And I take issue. I do not think that is true. I think that they're right, that they are getting worse results using agency staff. But I don't think it's because of agency nursing. I've met and worked with a lot of agency nursing. And you know what they are? They're really great. They're compassionate. They're knowledgeable. They're hardworking. But you know what they don't know? They don't know your center. They don't know your residents. And they don't know your processes. And so because of that, we think immediately, oh, they're just going to do the worst job ever. And I'm going to tell you that that is not the case. This is a completely solvable problem. I mean, overnight solvable. If you're in one of those situations where, like most of us are, where we are forced to, and nobody's out here going, oh, I want to go get more agency, but we don't have any choice. If you're in the situation like me, like most of us, where we are relying on agency staffing because we don't have any other choice, let me tell you something. This is a solvable problem. And not only is it solvable, but if you attempt to solve this problem, you're going to make life better for everybody, for you, for your residents, for your staffing, for your agencies. I mean, everybody. I should tell you that my name is Ralph Peterson. If you've never seen me before, hello, how are you? I am a quality assurance consultant and a management development coach, and I work with centers all over the country who face problems like this head on. We don't read an article like this and go, oh no, woe is us, nothing we can do about it. There is so much that we can do about it. And specifically about this problem or this challenge of having agency staff in your center. And I want to just take a minute and go, let's look at another industry that has this same problem. And it's had this same problem for decades. And I'm talking about fast food. Specifically, let's just talk about McDonald's because they are the OG when it comes to addressing this problem. McDonald's has a problem and has had this problem for a long time where they don't pay, I mean, they're paying more now, but they haven't always paid a lot of money to their employees because it is a low-wage job, because it is a low-skill job, and because there is an awful lot of turnover, because their number one employee or their number one recruiting of new employees are brand new workers. People who are 15, 16 years old who have never had a job, never punched in, never shown up for work, never produced something for somebody else, never got a paycheck, never knew how to do any of this. That is what McDonald's has banked on. It is banked on hiring the brand new employee. But there's a problem. There's a challenge with hiring 15 to 16-year-olds who have never had a job before. You're not going to believe what it is. they're not very good. They're not very good at their job. They're not very good at following directions. A lot of them have attitudes. There's fighting, there's theft, there's no call, no shows. There's people who come in late and need to leave early, and people who just stop coming in altogether. And I'm not talking about sometimes, I mean all the time. These are the issues when you employ 15 and 16-year-olds. This is what you are dealing with on a consistent basis every single day, day in and day out. Yet, you could go to McDonald's in Texas, Ohio, Iowa, Massachusetts, and you could get the same service, the same burger, the same meal, the same fries, very consistently. And it doesn't matter about that person behind the counter. It could be their first day on their first time ever having a job, or they could have been transplanted. They were working at a McDonald's in Maryland, and now they're working at a McDonald's in Texas. And guess what? You would still get the same meal, the same fries, everything would be the same. How is that possible? Because they are working with inconsistent job assignments. They're working with people who they don't know the center or don't know each individual McDonald's. It's their first time having a job. All the same issues, many of the same issues that we have in long-term care. So how is it possible that McDonald's does it so consistently, so well that they become this mega organization? And we struggle. Our star rating goes down. Our quality outcomes go down not because we're short-staffed, but because our staff doesn't work in our center every day. They work in a bunch of different centers every day. There's more to this story. If you start thinking about it and drilling down, what does McDonald's do that maybe we can start doing in long-term care to solve the same problem that they've been able to solve? And I'm going to tell you, it's two things. Two things. One, they focus on their processes. Everything in every process they look at, they evaluate and improve. And for those who have been working with me for a long time, I know I'm just going to constantly keep saying evaluate and improve, evaluate and improve. I know till I'm old and gray. They have a knack for evaluating and improving, making their processes so easy to understand, foolproof. In the military, we would call it poka-yoke, which means dummy-proof. They make every one of their processes super easy to understand, super easy to follow along, so that even though it's your first time working in their McDonald's, no matter where you came from or if it's your first time job, doesn't matter, you can easily produce the same product over and over again, 30, 45 minutes after you started working in that center. I mean, that fast. So number one, evaluating and improving your processes, making your nursing process, those key work processes, how to give a shower, how to do medication, how to turn a resident, how to perform AM care, how to do HS care, how to feed a resident, how to shower a resident, how to do wound care, how to put on an activity, like how to transport a resident. All of these processes can be evaluated and improved so that they are super simple, easy to follow, really makes sense for anybody who walks into that building. The second thing that McDonald's does, and this is probably going to be the toughest one for most senior care centers to be able to implement, and that is McDonald's spends an enormous amount of resources on their management team. You would never ever go to a McDonald's and find behind the counter that the manager just started. You would never be like, oh, I'm a temporary staff and they made me the manager. Never. That would not happen in a McDonald's. And the reason it would not happen in McDonald's is because a process, even though you have the best processes, and McDonald's undoubtedly have the best processes, even though they have the best processes, they are not worth a hill of beans if they don't have a good manager ensuring those key work processes are being followed to the T by the brand new employees, or the employees that are inexperienced, or the employees who worked in another McDonald's and it's first time in this McDonald's. The manager is essential to the operation in McDonald's. And I'm going to tell you, managers are essential in any business, especially healthcare, especially senior care. And so what does it mean to invest a lot in your management team? It can be money. Obviously, I think every manager out there needs to get paid more money. I'm an advocate for people who say, yes, I'll be responsible. I would spend more money on managers than I spend on anybody, but that's just me. But not only in their paycheck, I would also provide an awful lot of resources for education. I would make sure that they get everything they need to be the most effective manager that they can be. And I would also 100% focus on the culture of my management team. The culture of your organization is a direct correlation to the culture of your management team. So if you take out your staffing and your residents out, just move them to the side for a second and just think of your 10 to 12 managers, however many department heads you have in your organization. What is their culture like? What is it like? Are they ever in a room together, laughing, joking, smiling? Do they all know each other? I mean, I was in a building recently where I was doing some management development, and I was going around the room just trying to introduce myself to everybody, and I found out that half the managers in the room did not know the other half of the managers in the room. They worked in the same building on the same management team. They didn't even know each other. Happens all the time. See it all the time. The management culture is like disregarded for some reason. Like they're like, oh, you're in charge. You're getting 50 cents more an hour, so we're not going to give you any perks. Like, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. The culture of your management team is so vital because they need to work together in order to get everything done. So those are the two big takeaways that I see this agency nurse linked to CMS low home quality star rating. I say BS. That's not true. I'm going to tell you what the low star rating is for, because it's because of your processes, your systems are not easily followed, and or number two, you do not have a well-engaged, well-informed leadership team. And for those of us who have neither, we don't have a good leadership team, and our processes are clunky and broken and don't make a lot of sense, and nobody really can explain how to do something, it just compounds the problem even more. And quite frankly, if your quality assurance program is not providing you with better results, more income, more residents, less expenses, less errors, less unsatisfied customers, your quality program is not doing its job, quite honestly. And so if we are truly in the situation we're in, which is, it looks like in the future of long-term care, we're going to be working with a lot more agency staff, not less agency staff. No matter, and I got to tell you that I love working in multiple buildings. I love traveling. I love seeing and working with new people all the time. So I get it. If I was a nurse, agency nursing would be quite attractive to me. Whether I got more money or didn't get more money, the idea of going from this home into that home, and I would like it personally. So I don't hold any negative or ill will towards agency staffing. I get it. I put the onus on the management team. The management team needs to be the consistent one in the organization. And let me say this too about the consistent job assignments, because I know that a bunch of you are going to watch this little video of mine and go, Ralph's saying some really interesting things, but he's not addressing the one problem that consistent job assignments kind of help and agency doesn't help, and that is change of condition. And you're absolutely right that it's important to note that a caregiver who stays with a resident for long term and they get to know that resident, they're more apt to be able to notice and identify a change of condition of that resident, even a subtle one. And they're then able to take that information and go, hey, I think something is up with this resident. Can we check? And you proactively prevent or, be able to identify a change of condition quickly. And so maybe you can make it so that it's not so severe. I agree that we're going to lose that with agency nursing, but I also think that there's nothing we can do about it. You are going to lose because we're not having so many people having these consistent nurses working with the same residents over and over. So that is another process that we just need to address. So I agree. Here's a problem. How do we identify change of condition when we are constantly having new staff? I say game on. Let's solve that problem. That's an easy problem to solve. We're not going to catch them all, but I bet we can do 80%. I bet we can catch 80% of the change of condition if we change the way that we report, change the way that we communicate with the nursing leader. By the way, that nurse leader, that nurse manager on the unit, the unit manager, that's why it's so important that they be consistent. If we have consistent management and processes that we're constantly evaluating and improving, making them super, super easy. And we're engaging all those staff, whether they've been there for a long time or it's their first time with us. We should always be able to produce the same product. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions or comments, what do you think about this article? What do you think about my thoughts about McDonald's? Do you see a correlation, or do you think I'm completely off my rocker? I would love to know. I'd love to know. As always, I hope it made you think and maybe smile. Have a good day.